One woman from our region is working on preserving history, and it's not just history from our area, it's her family history too.
Yeah, don't we all wish we could do this?
Right?
It sounds like so much fun. I actually spoke with Christy Perry Tuohey last night via Skype about her new book called Panther Mountain, Caroline's story. Here's what she had to say.
Kind of started looking through it, and I noticed that you wrote it kind of in a novel format, but it's really a history about your family, which is really neat.
Yeah, thank you. I decided, I found the way the book started was I found a letter that my grandmother had saved after she passed on that was in her keepsakes, was written in 1854. It didn't even register with me at the time, like, gee, that was before the Civil War, you know, just sort of looking at it, and I decided to put it in a scrapbook. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized this guy who signed this letter, which is very loving, to my great-great-grandmother is not my great-great-grandfather. So what's up with that? So, you know, I started looking into things, and some cousins helped me. They gave me a Nicholas County history book, and I sort of started from there, and over several years decided I don't have the full story, so I'm going to have to call it historical fiction, but much of what happens in the book did really happen.
Wow. So how did you piece that together then? Because you were pulling facts, but you're writing it sort of fictionally. So how did you come up with this story then in your head? How did that work?
Well, a few years ago, I sort of imagined where they lived on Panther Mountain, which is still in Nicholas County. People still live there, near Summersville. And I had not been there yet, but I tried to imagine what that was like and what her life was like. And I decided to, the more research I did, the more I realized two major things that I didn't know about my family, and that particular branch of my family. One is that, and this is on my mother's side, one thing is that they were very strongly against slavery, but it was not because of economic reasons. It was because of their faith. And they were very strong Methodists. And so I started looking into Methodist Church. I came to find out that in 1844, the Methodist Church in all over, at least eastern part of the country, had split into North and South, even again before the Civil War. So I decided, well, I'm going to start it in 1844. And that would have been when she was, you know, a certain age, and then tried to weave together the details from there as to how she got from, you know, those sorts of things that were going on in her community, how she might have met the guy who wrote this letter, you know, how she came to marry my great-great-grandfather instead, and then thinking about the Civil War events. This is not a story that was passed down in my family. So I was really interested to realize that there were two major battles that happened near Panther Mountain, the Battle of Carnifex Ferry and the Battle of Kessler's Cross Lanes. So just, you know, the timeline emerged as I started thinking of historical events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so this is going to be a really good story for anybody who is a West Virginia history buff, that's for sure.
I hope so. You know, it's really my hope that it would be a book that anybody of any age would read and be proud of West Virginia's history. I've always loved West Virginia history. I obviously grew up in West Virginia, in Charleston and Spencer, went to Marshall. And I just would love it if people would understand how strong and brave so many of our ancestors, not just mine, were during a very, very frightening time in their lives, and how they decided it was worth it to form this new state, the only state formed during the Civil War.
Awesome. So what kind of feedback have you gotten so far, especially, I mean, from your family and then from publishing the book?
Well, it's been mostly positive. I am happy to say, I told my husband if I sell 5 books in a year, that would be great. I have gone beyond that. I've been happy to share it with my family, and some of my family members who I haven't seen in years, you know, didn't realize I was writing it, and I'm kind of surprised when they got one for Christmas. My cousins who are still living in West Virginia have been incredibly supportive in Kanawha County, Putnam County, Nicholas County, just friends in Spencer. People have just been so incredibly supportive, and I love them for it. It's been a wonderful experience. It's been a long time dream to write a book, but this particular book, I would have to say God really guided me to write it, and I'm grateful for that.
Christy was wonderful. She did so much work on this book. You can tell if you flip to the back, you can see the extensive research that she put on this. I told her it would make a high school kid cringe to see the length of her bibliography because it's massive.
No, that's valid.
Exactly,
Absolutely.
But she does have a book signing coming up this weekend, actually, in Charleston. It is on Saturday at the Capitol Market in Charleston. And we also wanted to mention, if she looks familiar, well, she used to be an anchor here. Look at this picture. Look at that set.
Oh, my goodness.
We talked a little bit about that last night. We had to laugh because, I mean, the set was basically cardboard. This is a picture of her in the 80s in the WSAZ studio. My,
that looks like a float that we would create for a parade. Seriously. Is that cardboard?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
She said a lot of it was cardboard. She loved the little phone that was back there that she said was basically useless. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so since this is a history, obviously her personal history being here or anything like that's not in there, but still very cool. So she's a member of the community. She's obviously been a big part of it. She's in New York right now.
Yes. She lives there with her family.
But she'll be heading here.
But she'll be here come this weekend, and she said she's really excited to meet with everybody. So pick up a copy of her book and talk to her a little bit.
Great.
It's really a good book.
Awesome. Yeah. We'll be right back.